Mighty Joe Young, 1949. I know this technically isn't a King Kong movie, but this one was heavily inspired by it. Also, people consider this one to be the final installment in the King Kong trilogy, even though it has no connection with the previous two. And by a lot of people, I mean James Rolfe. King Kong actor Robert Armstrong stars as Mr. O'Hara in this film. He, along with his assistant Greg, head off to Africa to find something to make money off of. They find it in the form of Mighty Joe Young, a 12-foot-tall gorilla who runs Africa. While the men try to capture him, Joe goes on a rampage until he's stopped by a young girl named Jill Young, played by Terry Moore. Jill has a connection with the gorilla and thinks of him as like a brother. O'Hara talks with Jill and tries to convince her to bring Joe back to the city. And desperately needing the money, she reluctantly agrees. They take Joe back to New York City, where he's showcased in front of hundreds of people. There's a scene where Joe holds Jill up while she's playing a piano. At first, everything's fine, but after a while, Joe begins to get homesick. Even O'Hara begins to see it and has a change of heart. And after going on a rampage, Joe gets contained in a cage. Realizing the error in his ways, Mr. O'Hara decides to take Joe back to Africa. And he, along with Jill and Greg, try to bring him home. But they make a pit stop when an orphanage burns down, and they try to rescue the kids from the burning fire. They manage to rescue most of them, but there's one that's still stuck, so Joe goes to rescue her. Luckily, she and Joe both make it out okay, and Joe is sent back to Africa. This is without a doubt the best Kong-inspired film to date, and I might review some of the other Kong ripoffs later on, but that's later down the line. Overall, I give this movie a 7 out of 10.